for this week's podcast, we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl 2020 crackdown that occurred in the Hard Rock Stadium. Last week, we did the Cocaine Cowboys slash the Dayland Massacre of 1979. And this week, I've decided to kind of put something closer to home, at least for us. We don't live in Miami Gardens, but my boyfriend is a police officer from Miami Gardens. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to him and see like how he feels about it. But he wasn't an officer yet in 2020. He was in the police academy. So
Just missed it.
yeah, just missed it. But basically, just to start, the Super Bowl 2020 crackdown in Miami was one of the biggest coordinated anti-human trafficking operations in South Florida history, and it exposed just how deeply sex trafficking is tied to major events like the Super Bowl. Here's everything you need to know. Basically, big sporting events, especially the Super Bowl, has such big crowds and has so much money that it is in high demand for sex workers. Traffickers like move around victims across state lines to capitalize on the spike of tourism in parties and nightlife. Many victims are minors, immigrants, or young women groomed from high volume events. Um,
What do you think? Out of those groups, is the highest to be sex trafficked?
Minors.
You think minors?
Yeah, what do you think?
Why? Why do you think minors?
Minors, because there's so many pervs in the world. It's like insane.
Yes.
What do
Get the
you think?
context, but right now it's immigrants.
It's immigrants.
Yeah, immigrants are highly trafficked due to their citizenship status. They get blackmailed into doing a lot of stuff, promising um citizenship, or they'll actually be recruited out of the country, and they'll actually be manipulated in thinking that's the correct way of life to make it here. Um, this has a lot to do with the cartels too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people don't know, but one of the biggest things that cartels do smuggle into the country is not just drugs,
It's females.
people,
Yeah.
people in general. Because remember, it's not just females that get sex trafficked. It's boys, girls, like it's all the above. And big events like the
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. There's going to be a lot of people there. And again, Miami Gardens is not the safest place to be, so it's one of the main areas of that's of concern and stuff.
Yeah. So let's start with the operation. The code name is Operation Game Over, and it was led by FBI Miami Division, Homeland Security Investigation, Miami-Dade Police Department, as well as the Miami Gardens Police Department, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and nonprofits and survivor advocacy groups like Christie House and the Life of Freedom Center.
So, do they know what all these are? I know they know what FBI, Homeland, Miami-Dade Police Department, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE, is the one that oversees.
All the
Um,
operations.
no. They oversee all the police departments here in the state of Florida. It's called Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So basically, they oversee. They give us the certifications to be law enforcement officers. Basically, they're the baddest of the baddest. Like they're the elite of the elite. So basically, you work for them. You work to actually certify officers throughout the state.
So their goals were basically they had three goals: to rescue victims, to arrest traffickers and buyers, and then they wanted to crack down on escort ads, online trafficking, and hotel operations. So what the crime fighters, I don't know how to say it, like
The crime fighters.
yeah,
Doesn't say. She said
the
crime
law
fighters.
enforcement.
She said crime fighters. Like it's the first time. Oh no, not like police officers or like
Yeah, I'm cutting
FBI.
that out.
How about that?
I'm cutting that
How about
out.
this?
We can't be laughing. Cut out what? We can't be laughing. We're talking about something
It
serious.
was a podcast. At the end of the day, it's like we're talking about for real. Right? You wanna put it back now? She just said that. What'd you say? Repeat what you said. The crime fighters.
The law enforcement.
There you go.
They set up sting operations in hotels where buyers thought they were meeting escorts. They monitored escort websites, social media, and apps for tracking ads, especially for minors. They conducted undercover operations, posing as both buyers and victims. and they train hospital staff, hotel workers, and rideshare drivers on how to spot signs of trafficking. Um, the result of all of this was that more than 100 people were arrested in the weeks before and during Super Bowl week. Multiple victims, including minors, were rescued. Some victims were being moved from state to state just for the event, and the hotels near the stadium, the Hard Rock Stadium, which was where the live Super Bowl was conducted, were used as trafficking hubs. Victims came from Florida, Georgia, Texas, and even Central America. So the example of some of the cases was that a 16 The example of some of the cases is that a 16-year-old girl was found being advertised online and held in a Miami hotel. One trafficker was caught with multiple fake IDs, burner phones, and cash. Clear signs of organized trafficking. Some pimps posed as boyfriends but were really moving forward from city to city under coercion. What made this operation different was that the first time Miami took a citywide approach, police, healthcare workers, hotels, Uber drivers, and airport staff were trained in trafficking awareness. They basically the FBI used AI and tech to like monitor ads that were saying like, "Oh, young teenage girl around you looking for fun or whatever." That's what they would look for, and then they would target those people, talk to them, and then they would go and hunt them down. They offered trauma care, shelters, and legal support to rescued victims, not just arrests. It showed how massive events bring hidden crimes to the surface. This sparked more long term trafficking task forces in South Florida. It brought national attention of how human trafficking is not just an underground issue, it's hiding in plain sight.
Sex trafficking, believe it or not, is very common in your society.
We talked
And
about the ports where they smuggle drugs in our last episode. Can you talk more about like human trafficking in those ports?
human trafficking in those sports,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's very hard to smuggle somebody to the ports. People get smuggled through the borders. If you even read in your own notes that they were coming from out of state, from like let's say New Mexico or Arizona, those border states basically, um, the mules will actually like take people over the border, and that's why we have a very big border crisis. That that we should be monitored better because not just people. A lot of those people are not just criminals, but they're actually like minors and people that are getting sex trafficked in Mexico or any other country, and they're just getting sent to another country like the United States, so there's no ever trace of them. So basically, um, big sport events, and will actually attract a lot of it because there's a lot of people. They think police or FBI is not going to be looking for that type of type of crime. They're going to be looking more like a terrorist attack, maybe a big scale massacre, more than sex trafficking. But that's not the case. Like trust me, there's enough personnel on those things just to do their exact job. But yeah, another major event that has to do with sex trafficking that's going to be coming up in the next year or two is FIFA, where Miami Gardens is going to be hosting FIFA in 2026 or 2027 to the Hard Rock Stadium, which is going to be another big scale event. That's something to look forward to see what happens and see if we're able to conduct the operation again at a larger scale. Because as you know, FIFA is more international, brings in a lot more people than like a Super Bowl, believe it or not. So we're looking into that. Sex trafficking, law enforcement, which is not like an agency. We're a detached from each department or federally local police. They have their own team. They all get together once a month, couple times a couple times a month, depending on what the workflow is, and they'll actually talk about the issues and how many cases are and stuff like that. Another big sign of how somebody it's sex trafficked that they're reported missing and you find them. Let's say like you were talking about a lot about juveniles. A lot of juveniles that are seen by themselves as is not supposed to be legal. Okay, I see a juvenile in the street without an accompanied adult. That's a concern. A lot of these times, these juveniles are literally they just run away, but most of the time is they're there. Somebody's watching. So it's very, very important. If you see something, say something. If you see a juvenile that's been loitering in an area out of hours of the day, or you see them there for a long period of time without any adult contact, it's a very good sign that either they're in danger or they need help. So a lot of times we'll be getting calls where we see a juvenile by himself at let's say a McDonald's for a couple of hours. Get the call, we find out that he's reported missing, she's reported missing, or there's no trace. This happens a lot. When there's no trace of anything, we do contact advocates and we do find them a home for the night. But an investigation does go through with Homeland Security. That's more of a federal crime. You know what you know what a federal crime, like let's say like a sex trafficker brings um a juvenile from, like let's say, an out of state, and he comes to Florida, like you had said earlier, they were bringing a lot of juveniles from out of state. That's a federal crime. That's the FBI's case now, because when he cross state lines, it becomes what it is. But basically, yeah, say some. If you see something, say something. If you know any information, maybe you could take a screenshot and send it to your local police department and go from there. But other than
Um,
that,
I know that here I have written down that basically there was women that would come into contact with men from the United States, and the men would promise them like, oh, you're gonna work as maids, waitresses, like different types of like jobs, and they would always agree. So basically, women trafficked from the Caribbean and Central America arrived from Miami International Airport supposedly for jobs as maids or nannies, and then their passports were taken and they were kidnapped and forced into both domestic labor and commercial sex. Um, this was very popular in suburbs like Hialeah and Doral, and it's often in residential homes, apartments, or in massage parlors, which is really scary. You never really know what's going on, what some person is going through as you're like laying at home. Some person could be going through like such a traumatic event near you, and it's obviously very hard. Like you can't read minds, you can't read through walls, but please keep an eye out
if
for
you
certain
see
things.
something, say something.
Okay, so my boyfriend brought me back food from the Mexican market in the Hard Rock, next to the Hard Rock Stadium. So let's open it. I have his food in here too. He's just not here right now, so we're gonna I'm just gonna show you obviously my food. His food, he can eat it at a later time. But I think this is mine. No, this is his. Mine is the birria. It looks so depressing. I don't know why it looks like this. But basically, I'm so excited. It's like a little market. Look at how they look like they're sleeping. It's like a little market. They sell like food. So we're gonna try the birria first. I'm so excited. I've never eaten in front of a camera before, so please don't judge. How do I do this? Oh, it has 2 tacos. It needs to cool down a little bit. It is so hot. I'm trying so hard to hold it without it burning me, but it is like scorching hot. Amazing. Spectacular. Let's go for another bite. Obviously, I wish it was more full, but I'm not gonna cry about it. So I just ate my tacos. I completely scarfed them down. And now Evan got back from doing whatever he was doing. So now he's gonna eat his tacos. Would you like to show the camera your tacos? What tacos are they?
Carne asada.
Carne asada. So yummy. And then look at the bag of Cheetos that we found at the Mexican market. It's the Cheetos Extra Flaming Hot Nueva Imagen, because the image is new. And apparently she says that they only sell this in the Mexican markets because it is de maíz. So I'm so excited to try this out. They look just like hot Cheetos. I am obsessed. Me and my boyfriend are obsessed with hot Cheetos. They look so good. It tastes just like hot Cheetos, right?
He's very different. Yeah, they're not hot at all. I thought they were gonna be hotter.
No, they're hot. Well, for me, they're hot. He's like the queen of, the king of, like, hot spices. It's really good. I like how thick, like, the lemon flavor is. Okay, so I loved my food. What about you?
I did like it.
Okay. So now we're gonna be trying these new little sweets. They're so cute. My camera's like not focusing. Do you see it? Okay, there you go. So it's called the Paleta Malva Boni Pop. And here. I'm gonna open it. Ooh, this does not look very appetizing. You want to share the same one? You don't have to open it?
I'm gonna eat mine.
Okay. This is what it looks like. Let's try it. Cheers. What do you think about it?
Tastes like a chocolate marshmallow.
Yeah, basically.